Hello, Flat Earthers. Flat Earth Hermit. I'd like to talk about why the Flat Earth would be a national security secret. But first, I want to just go over this issue here of why wouldn't you be able to see the sun across the flat Earth? This image is a model, but it's not to scale. And if you actually drew to scale with a sun of 30 miles in diameter, this sun here would be a third the width of Florida. So you're talking about a sun that's just about that little speck right there. And just redrawing that a little bit more, you would get a model that's more closely like this. So it looks more normal, that a tiny speck of sun that big probably wouldn't reach the far end of the Earth with its light, because it's just not that big. Plus, there's other atmospheric blocking and all that stuff. Alright, so why is the flat Earth a national security secret? Well, if this map is correct, and it's a speculation that it is, but you can see how small the United States is. And if there was all this Earth, right, for example, in this circle right here, there's just as much land as there is in the known world now. And if we circle it out through the whole map, there's 7 times, 2, 4, 6 times more land out there than in the known world now. So why would it be a national security secret to keep it quiet? Well, presumably 1/3 or 1/2 of the population would just leave. And that would mean that all the systems that are built for our current population would collapse. And the same thing would have been the case 50 years ago, that people would have said, hey, they don't want taxes, they don't want to pay interest, there's free land out there, we're a pioneer nation, let's go find it, let's start fresh, let's enjoy life. So if 1/3 of the population left, America would not be a superpower, especially when the best people leave, and we wouldn't be there to protect Israel or project power to enslave the rest of humanity on behalf of the Jews. So the Jews and their corporations and banks and power structures need us to stay put. They can't have us run away to enjoy our own lives. They need us on their rat wheel. So there you are, stuck. Now, if there was a dome, they could just say so. They could say, yep, there's plenty of land out there, but there's a dome, we can't access that land. So don't bother trying, you're stuck on the rat wheel. But if there's no dome and lots of new land, they have to keep it off limits with a lie and imply that there's nothing to see there. And that's probably the case, that there's no dome, there's lots of new land, and they need to lie to keep us out of there. Otherwise, we would leave. Who wouldn't? One last thing I'd like to talk about is my new channel called Popular Pivot. A popular pivot is a bloodless change of political system, and this might be interesting to everybody in the Flat Earth movement who wants to get information on what the real deal is. Some examples of a popular pivot were the change from the Articles of Confederation to the Constitution, the secession of the southern states and their pivot into the Confederacy, the formation of states and then their pivot into the United States. There was the popular pivot of the Soviet Union breaking up, of the Berlin Wall falling down, of the Czech and Slovak republics splitting in half from Czechoslovakia. And then another popular pivot involved the merging of East and West Germany. All these things were popular with the people, and the politicians basically just did it. And there wasn't really a constitutional mechanism to make it happen. They were simply bloodless system changes. So there needs to be a term for bloodless changing of the system. And I think that we need some type of popular pivot in the United States. And it's basically a way to take power or to alter the power structure in a bloodless way. And I'm working on one in New York State, and then there's 2 more I'm working on. And the one I'm working on in New York State is basically a good government initiative. So it's in New York State. So if you're a flat earther in New York State, you can get in touch with me. I probably could hire you to help out, especially if you're in the capital region, and if you know anything about government, or if you have a Twitter account, it would be very helpful. And one thing about good government is that you're supposed to, for example, spend money on things that are honest and true. And if we don't know whether the Earth is really a ball or not, I mean, it's an open question at this point, a legitimate open question, then we need to know. So we need to research, we need to find out the truth. And lots of money is spent by the New York State government on colleges, universities, and public schools. And if the truth isn't known, then we need to find out. So we need to research and find out. So that's a way of explaining or legitimizing finding out the truth. And we could, launch an expedition, subpoena information from different sources to try to find out the truth and get to the bottom of this. And even if it's a national security secret, you could at least know it's a national security secret, and they don't need to explain why, probably, but they can say, yep, it's a secret. You can't know why. But at least you'd know that it is a secret. But the point is, you need some power to get that truth out, and a popular pivot is a way to do that. So I know Daniel Pratt wants some action, and a lot of people want some action, and they want to see, pitchforks in the streets. But a good leader tries to find out how to get information or action or power without direct confrontation. And I'm going to have an article, hopefully on Renegade Tribune, once it's done, and I'll have a link to it, and it will explain why we can have power, not directly flat Earth power. I mean, the flat earthers are taking over the government. No, we don't want them to know that. We don't want. They don't. That would be funny. It's just like chemtrails. People need to know what the hell is that? Is it what's going on? Why don't we need to know? And there's other things like that the public has a right to know what is going on. And with a 4th branch of government, what I call the Board of Trustees, I want to add a Board of Trustees to the New York State government that would change the system. Instead of 3 parts to the government, there would be a 4th. And the Board of Trustees would keep things honest. So it would have the power to reveal things like that or investigate things like that. Why are there chemtrails? Who's making the money? Is it Al Gore? Chemtrails Al Gore? Is it an airline initiative to make the airlines rich? Whatever it is, it doesn't really... we just need to know the truth, that's all. I'm not too interested in whipping anyone for their lies. Just let the public know what's the truth. That's all they need to know. That's what they want. If people want the truth, they need to know it, and we need people to want the truth. There might be a good reason for chemtrails. There might be a good reason for covering up the flat Earth. So I'm willing to hear the side, but we need to know the truth. We need to know that. That's what counts. So I know there's lots of flat earthers out there who would like to do something practical that gets us answers. And the popular pivot is a way to actually get us there.